Hello, it's Thursday, July 25, 2024. Hakuna Matata, everyone. So, yeah, I haven't been posting any bus videos lately because she's just mothballed for now. We're at the house and we've got plenty of work to do here at the house. So, to keep myself busy and to keep the videos flowing, I'm taking videos of what I'm doing around the house, as I guess you guys have noticed. So today, I'm finally getting around to doing a service on this Bosch 3270 belt stander. It's a 3x21, 3-inch wide belt by 21-inch long. And in my opinion, the best belt sander you could get anywhere. They don't make them anymore either. So that's why I'm taking the initiative right now. I want to go inside here and make sure there's a worm gear over here that I want to make sure has got plenty of grease, because since you can't buy parts anymore, this thing needs to last, right? So this has actually been modified by me some time ago. I replaced this standard just click on off switch with the variable speed switch. So this is now the, there's some kind of suffix on that 3270, or it's a different number. But this was originally a 3270, just a plain old on off. What can I say here? I was able to find some parts. I just bought this plate and replaced it. The other one was all scored up, but it wasn't all that bad. I think I actually saved it. Yeah, here it is, right here. Oh, and here's where I bought it from too. It's called Kaufman Family Tool Repair. $10.92 for that part, including the shipping. So this is the wear part for where the belt rides, and I'm not getting rid of it because it's still actually a usable part. Now we got to figure out how to get this thing apart. And I want to put a new wire on it. It's needed a new wire for about 10 years. So I guess looking at the way this thing's made, first thing we're gonna have to do is take off the belt. And the only way to get the belt off would be to take off probably just this one. Maybe this, the belt, I can slip the belt off. Maybe I need to take both of them off. We'll see. I'm gonna start with this. And then it looks like you just pop the top off. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 screws. And let's see what happens, man. Wow, I am so glad I took this thing apart to check it out. It's not a worm gear, by the way, it's a bevel gear. I actually knew that because I looked at the diagram on this thing a while ago. This grease is all like hardened up here. And the main drive wheel here does not have ball bearings. It's a friction bearing. Be real careful I don't spill the beans here. And that looks really dry too. So yeah, this thing is serious need of a service. So this thing is probably, gosh, around 30 years old. It really is. And I've used it quite a bit. Very little wear on the commutator. The brushes look nice. I think, yeah, I'm not sure how, here we go. That bearing feels rough. But I bet you that is something that I have. This bearing is, I wonder if that's a needle bearing or a bushing. I'm gonna, needle bearing, look at that. This is some nice quality stuff, man. All right, I guess next thing we'll do is take out the motor. Gosh, I don't want to mess with the wires, but I do want to repack the bearings. And I really do want to clean all this out really well. So I guess maybe I can lift the motor up and pull the armature out of the windings and not disturb any of these connections here. Alrighty, so I did exactly as I thought. I was able to lift the motor up a little bit and then slide the armature out. And it's some nice quality stuff here, man. The bearings have got little rubber cups to isolate motor vibration, make it run a little bit quieter, I guess. The brushes look fine. And now we can clean this thing out. I'm going to blow this out with compressed air really well. And I think I'll scoop out all this grease that's in there with a screwdriver, wipe it out, and then use WD-40 as a solvent rather than brake clean or something like that, so minimize the risk of harming the plastic housing. So it's pretty full actually, but it's kind of thick, I guess. I don't know, I guess it's not so bad. But the gears don't look like they have much on them at all. So, yeah, all right, man, here we go. So, yeah, that's the grease that I scooped out. It's not that much. And I'm having to use a screwdriver to scrape a lot of this. Some of the crud buildup in here is drywall dust, and you know, I mean, every kind of freaking thing that I've worked on in 30 years that I needed to sand with the belt sander. So yeah, we're just going real meticulous here with the scrapings. And down in here, I've already done all this. Okay, and then there, okay. So we're pretty good here. Next, we're going to do the WD-40 thing in this grease cavity and use this brush. I guess I can use the brush before I get it greasy. It's amazing how this crud is stuck on there. I mean, there's drywall, fiberglass, wood, metal. I've used this on a lot of things. Also things that are not that clean too, so dirt and whatnot. All right. There's quite a bit of caked up stuff in these wires. I won't scrape that, but I would use a bristle brush. Help keep those things cool. Hold your ears. All right, that's a lot cleaner. Guess I should lift this up and look at the underside. Yeah, it's kind of caked up under there too. I don't want to try to do that with one hand. Yeah, WD-40 is doing a great job of dissolving that old grease. I want to make sure I get it all out of there. Look at that. It's mixed with the grease and turned it into like heavy oil. Okay, I have to wipe off my brush. All right, man, we're clean enough in here to put back together. So we use the WD-40 and little bristle brushes like this to clean that out, and then isopropyl alcohol. I like this 91% stuff. I always keep a lot of that on hand to get all the oil off of it so dust won't stick to these other areas. And this bore in here, the play and the bushing is just fine. And I got a little bristle brush that I poked through there. I don't even know where it went. Oh, right there it is. And clean that out with WD-40 and then isopropyl alcohol. And the same with this. This is all ready to go back together. These gears are not going to be long for this world. The seems like they've taken a beating. The nut was not tight at all on this, and the same with the pinion one up here. This one's a little bit better shape than this one here, but I'm kind of thinking I might, if I put Loctite on that, I'll just put it together dry, just the way it is, and worry about that in the future. I can, you know, so there are some parts you can find. I mean, I had a heck of a time finding that skid plate on the bottom down there, but maybe it would be worth it for me to buy these gears while they're still available. I mean, 30 years old, I don't think I need to worry about the brushes. There's plenty left there. It's like it's not even begun to wear out. All right, so what I'm going to do next, I'm going to start to put this back together, or just get this wheel back in there and all the shims and stuff in place while I remember how everything goes, just so I've got less stuff to worry about losing or breaking or forgetting how it goes. Get that rear wheel in there. I already re-greased this front wheel. Next, I'm going to see about getting these bearings off of here and clean them out and re-grease them. I do have some bearing plate pullers. I will very gingerly give it a shot with those, and if they cooperate, that would really be nice, man. That's the last thing to do right there. With risk of damaging something is the bearings on this shaft and the armature shaft. And lastly, I got to clean this guy out, but I already got this figured out. That's easy enough to do. All right. That's all clean and ready to reassemble. I just set the lid on there to keep it clean. Fortunately, the ball bearing slipped right off the shaft, this guy. So I got this thing pristine clean. It's in perfect condition. Thank goodness. And next we'll clean this bearing up. And I'm not going to pry the shields off, but actually I might have some new ones of that size. I bought new. I have to go. Yeah, I got to go check. I might just put new bearings on that. Well, that would be the only one that size. That one there is smaller, and that one there, I think, is the same. Maybe. Not sure if I'm going to get that off or not. I hope so. Look at that, man. I've got bearings. These are the same as roller skate bearings, which I bought this kit. How many is in there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I guess I got 16 of them. I got there's 2 tubes for my Max Air fan motor, and also the fan motor for the air conditioner in the bus. So we're going to put sealed bearings in this thing. All right, so I got this one. Now let's see if we can get that jewel apart. Man, who'd believe I have the exact right tool to pull that bearing off? Wish me luck here. I wonder if I should put something. Well, that point of that thing is right in the dimple. It ought to be fine. I'll see how that, if I have got to squeeze really hard on this, then I'll stop and think about what I'm doing. Hopefully it's just going to pull that thing off. This bushing will pop off before it reaches the end, hopefully. And then I can go the rest of the way to pull the bearing off. Gosh, that was pretty tight. So just like I had hoped, I was able to pull it. Now this is loose. I'll back this thing off and take the bushing off and continue to pull the bearing off. I am satisfied with that. I've used about a half a can of brake clean and compressed air and blasted this thing and let it soak in the cap, both of the bearings on the armature, that is, until I am confident that there's no more grease or crud in this bearing. You can see right through it. And both of the bearings on the armature are different than that 608 bearing that I happen to have a new one, so that's why we're cleaning these out. And really I would have been happier if I had new ones, but these feel just like frickin' new. They're perfectly smooth. There's no clicks or anything in them, and they're not wobbly loose. So we're going to repack them. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to put a blob of grease in my hand, in my palm, my cupped palm, and set the bearing on the blob of grease. Put my index finger over the center hole and press down and flatten out, and wait to see grease come through the shield on this side. This one's really small. I don't know how successful I'm going to be, but that's all I can do. I got it. I don't know if you can see, but I saw the grease come through the bearing. All right, so here's another way you can tell that it was completely plaqued. I wiped this bearing off completely and then held the inner race with 2 fingers and rolled it back and forth, and a bunch of grease came out from around the inner race and the shield. You see right there on there, like, what would that be, 11 o'clock position? So we did a good job packing that bearing. Continue to wipe that off and spin it again and get all the excess grease out of it. This is the larger bearing, and you can see clearly on this one how the grease came completely through. Well, would you look at that? Perfect. Seems about the right backlash. Maybe it's a little loose. You know what's interesting is I pressed this bearing all the way up to the step. That you can see that little line right there where the blue plastic is, because I thought that was the stopping place, and it wouldn't fit. So I had to push it off a little bit, and now I'm kind of second guessing myself. This bearing is the one that locates the position of the armature shaft, and I should have measured. I didn't think about doing that. I just made an assumption that there were stops, but the backlash on this gear is adjusted by the position of where that bearing is. That might be a little loose. Let me give the bearing just a little bit of a nudge to move the shaft this way just a little bit. What I'm doing is I'm using a socket and putting a socket over this, and then putting it in the vise and just pushing it on. Well, looks like I'm going to pull this off. Look how nice and smooth that sounds. So that lower cavity is pretty much full. You don't want to put too much in here because it'll push the grease out when it's running. And this one is mostly full. I think I'll put a little bit more right in the middle down there. And then we can assemble this puppy. All right, so these are screwing in the plastic. We're going to back up until we feel it drop into the threads so we don't cross thread the holes. Okay, here goes. It spins free by hand. All right. Sounds good. It sounds better than it used to. All right. All we got to do now is put the belt on and the covers, and I'll get a new wire for this before I put this cover on. I don't have one of these. It's a 2-conductor wire, no ground, which I actually prefer. Super. All right, I am so happy. God, I got my belt sander all tuned up. I mean, it was working, and it was working just fine, but it needed to have that maintenance really bad. So here's the greatest thing about this belt sander, that there aren't any other belt sanders like this. That it's got a flat top, and it's got these pads. It's made to be set on its top. You can turn the thing on and lock the trigger and sand parts by hand all day long. It's also flat on this side, so you could lay it down and clamp it and do 90-degree stuff, and it's very precise on its angle of 90 degrees. I challenge someone to find another belt sander like this. Now, Bosch sold out to, I think it was Ryobi. Ryobi was making this exact looking belt sander for a while, but no longer available. Bosch 3270. Yeah, I'm happy, man.